Hey paparazzi, it's your girl AQ, and I'm here today to talk to you about inventory best practices and things that we've learned since last year's convention, new features, exciting new things, and new tips and tricks to get your inventory in to your Premiere app. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First things first, Paparazzi Premiere is going to help you be digitally organized, and that's great. But if you aren't organized in your jewelry rooms and then nothing else is going to matter. If you don't know where your pieces of jewelry are when that online sale comes in, how are you going to be able to fulfill that? So organization and consistency are going to be your keys to success when utilizing Premiere. So let's talk about that. I love organization shows. I love organization systems. And so this one is a very passionate topic for me. So let's talk about that. The first things first is that you have to have the right organization containers, where the functional pieces that you're going to put in place to be organized. So let's break that down. You have beautiful boxes that come from Paparazzi, and you can leverage those, and you don't need to spend any money on that. You can cut off the flaps and use those as containers for organizing your jewelry. Another easy, cheap solution is I got these from my homeschool classroom, and they fit perfectly with the quart size Ziploc bags. And we're going to talk about Ziploc bags. But these I got from the Dollar Tree, and they're a great solution. And you can see they're two different ones, and they stack on top of each other. So that's definitely an option for you as well, if it's something that you want to have some kind of plastic containers for that before you go out and buy tons of bins and organization systems. So now that we have our containers in place, let's talk about where consistency and a methodology comes into place and how you're going to keep that working together for you in your business. Misty talks a lot about when you place your orders, you do a pre-claim and you post those in your Facebook groups, and you take those orders that way. Once your package comes in, you're going to receive everything and make sure everything is in good order, and you're going to put those pre-claims into your customers' bins. Then that day, you're going to go live with the remaining pieces that are from that order and put those into your customers' bins. Then at the end of the week, it's best recommended that you should be doing a recap. So that gives you another opportunity to sell out of the last remaining pieces that you had. And if you don't sell out after the recap, then that's the opportunity that this is all going to go into your organization methodology, your systems that you put in place to put it into your containers. Now, I'm a big fan of Ziploc bags. As you can see here, I'm using a gallon bag for these necklaces, and this is a great option for some of those bigger, chunkier pieces. But some of the smaller pieces that are a little bit slimmer fit it great into quart-size bags. So be consistent in how and what size bags you're using, and being consistent in where those types of bags are going so everything fits accordingly. Now, when we look at your organization methodology, there's 4 main ways that I have seen organization systems come into place. That is, the first one that I'm going to show you here is using a letter and numeric system where the letter represents the piece. So this is necklaces. You can see I wrote N503. N503 would go into Premiere, and we're going to talk about where that goes in a moment. But this tells me when I get an order from my Premiere online store, it tells me N503, and I know exactly where to go. So N for necklaces, B for bracelets, E for earrings, and then a numeric counting system. And then once you sell out of these pieces, now this bag is reusable and you can reuse it on another piece. Remember, we're not trying to spend any more money than is necessary here, right? You can reuse these bags. Now, along the same concept of the N for necklace or B for bracelet, you have the ability to then also use a lettering system with color. So you could say P for pink, or you could use R for red. And that would work the same way as long as you are using some kind of numeric system afterwards to know where that is. Another great option that I had seen, what I loved, was that they wrote the date that they go live on the, what they went live on. So they know all the pieces that went live on that date are available there. So the other system outside of the date system would just be using a numeric system, 1000, 1001, 1002. So those are 4 great systems that you can use when you write on the bags and then you put them into your container systems. So let's talk about where are you going to put that into your system, and let's dive into the features of Premiere so that you know how to take that organization and that consistency that you're going to build and you're going to put it into the Premiere app to be successful. As an overview, these are the things that I'm going to talk to you about before we dive into actually getting inventory in. So let's talk about the features first. So the item number is the number I'm talking to you about that's going to help you with your organization. Item number is this number, N503. This helps me stay organized. Whereas a claim code, the difference with a claim code is that this is used with reply to buy. So you can see I put claim code 1 and it's these earrings, and that would be fine. Now here's the difference. Here's where the consistency comes into play. The claim code is recyclable after you have sold out of this piece. Now it is important to note that if you're going to recycle these numbers with reply to buy, the claim code, that you don't do that any shorter than a 7-day period. Because if you sell out of these earrings and you decide that you're going to now make item number or claim code 1 for this bracelet, what's going to end up happening is if it's in the same 7-day period and somebody watches the replay for these earrings, they're going to get the bracelet sent to them instead because your system knows that you've sold out of this and this is now the new one set here. So remember, when you use claim code, don't recycle more than earlier than a week on those numbers. Now, when we're talking about item number, an item number can be put onto multiple pieces. So if you go back to the example I just gave with order date, the date, or not the order date, the live date, the date you went live, multiple pieces can be in this bag with the same item number so you know exactly what's in this bag. You don't have to use multiple, but if you do, it's more for you to know that that is supported in item number. So let's now talk about the visibility settings. In your settings, following these instructions, you're going to find the settings here to turn on whether or not items are visible or not visible when you do receiving. So here's the important part about doing these settings, and these are AQ's best recommendations. This setting should be turned off, and here's why. When you receive your order in your Premiere app, you don't want those items immediately available in your online store. So you don't want them visible. You don't want customers to be able to browse and see them until you've done your process, pre-claim, live, recap. Now it's ready for it to go into your online store. So receiving is a step that happens in between there, so you want these settings off. A featured item or featured piece is exactly that. It allows you the ability to say, these bracelets or this ring is a featured piece that I'm featuring this week, and it's going to be at the top of the section when your customers go to your Premiere online store. This is a great one, and I talk a lot about it in the online store session, so definitely check out that video next so that you can hear all my great tips for how you're going to use this new feature to drive sales to your online store. One of the other features in your Premiere app is the inventory filters. The inventory filters allow you to quickly filter within your app to see what items you already have marked featured versus what items are visible, and you can manage those changes more quickly and filter out what you want to see. So to do that, you click on the abacus icon, and then that brings up the filter options for you to do that. Now I've got a quick and easy Premiere hack, inventory hack for you to know how are you you want to see all of your earrings, you want to see all of your rings. Well, that paparazzi SKU, all of your SKUs that are on your barcodes, each one of them here, they actually have a meaning. So in your Premiere app, if you're wanting to find all of your rings, you would go into the search box and you would type P4, and that would bring up all of your rings. Now remember, this is for your Premiere app to quickly search by category. When we're talking about your online store, that has the categories already there for you. So this is just an easy way for you to do it within your Premiere app. And maybe you want to feature all your rings this week. So that's your quick way of doing that. One of our newest features is that we have the ability within your Premiere app to share an item. And you just go right to the item in your inventory and you click the share button. Now this share icon is based on the device, the native share icon for your device. So if it's Android, you've got the little alligator mouth. And if you've got Apple, then this is your share icon in your app. One of the best features, I think, in inventory, especially looking at it in the app, is the image zoom. Now remember, we used to have a small thumbnail image of the pieces that you would see there. And on a piece like these earrings that you see here, sometimes it's a challenge to determine which earring that is. So now you have the ability to click on the image and you see it in a bigger screen, and it supports your ability to do the pinch to zoom. And I'm going to show you that here in a moment when I transition to my tablet. So let me go ahead and we're going to do that now, and I'm going to show you some of these features in my tablet. So you see that here, that this is my inventory. The little eye icon that you're seeing on the screen here, that means that this is visible. So Scarfed for Attention Gunmetal is visible in my online store. And if I wanted to make it not visible, I simply check it, click it, check it, whatever, so that the slash goes through it. The star icon next to it means that it is a featured piece. So if I don't want to feature this piece anymore, I simply click the star icon and it will no longer be featured. Now that I've made the changes, I click save, and that will save those updates. To the right of the star icon is that native share functionality that I was telling you about. So when you click on that icon for share, it brings up your device's native share features, so that you have that option as well. The image zoom, so we're going to take a look at Spellbinding Sparkle, and you can see there. And then, so you can also see the pinch to zoom. So a lot of great new features. The filter options, I want to see all of my visible pieces. So that's these. Now I want to see all of my not featured pieces. So there's all of my not featured pieces. So you can quickly make the changes that you need to make in your inventory. Now let's go ahead and talk about how do you get inventory into your Premiere app. That's a very important piece to all of this, right? So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is that there's three main ways to get inventory into your Premiere app. Now, before I dive into any of these three ways, I want to make sure that we all say the same things and that you guys understand, because getting inventory in can be an overwhelming idea when you have a lot of vintage pieces. So If you are strictly using Premiere to do invoicing and you haven't started using your online store just yet, you don't need any pieces in your inventory to get started. You will naturally be getting inventory in through other systems, through the receiving, through invoicing, all of those other mechanisms as you're doing invoicing. So again, if you're just using Premiere for invoicing, you don't need any inventory set up or pre-set up, because if you join me with my invoicing session, I'm going to show you how you can just add the pieces right to the invoice without having it in your inventory. Inventory in your system allows you to then immediately start leveraging your Premiere online store. And the most famous saying in the whole wide world is, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So don't think you have to get all of your inventory in to start utilizing these features. You just need to start small, okay? So let's talk about getting inventory in. The first way that you get inventory in is through receiving. Receiving is a feature that happens automatically with the connection of when you place your order on the daily releases. It automatically syncs to your Premiere app. When that automatic sync happens, it's telling your Premiere account what items were ordered, how many. It gives us the pictures, the descriptions, everything already ready for you. It tells you the quantity and everything like that that you've ordered on that order for your daily release. So as you see on this screen here, the left side of the screen is the list of the orders that I have to receive from what I've placed. The middle screen is what it looks like when I do the receiving step. It's showing me all the pieces in the order. And if I didn't receive one because it got missed in the order or it was damaged, I can uncheck those boxes and it won't get added to my inventory. Now, one of the most common questions, actually there's two common questions. The two most common questions that Paparazzi gets asked for sure on the regular all the time is when they look at an order and they bring it up and it says that they don't have any pieces on that order. Why is it blank? Then the next question is, how do I add host rewards or life of the party or fashion fix? So technically the second question answers the first question, and I'm going to break that down for you and help you understand what it means. So there are certain SKUs in your systems that we don't know the individual child items, right? When you place that order. And the host reward is a perfect example. HR10 is comprised of 10 individual SKUs that are in this component. So you can add them by clicking on the barcode icon and scan and add them. So Life of the Party, for those of you that receive that, or your Fashion Fix subscription, the monthly subscription, those are going to show up as blank orders. Now, because I always recommend best practices, the best practice is if you have an order and it's blank and that's where you receive, that's where you technically received it from, like your Fashion Fix, you should scan to add those through that order. So when you receive, it should always receive to an order. That is best practices. Now, the app doesn't force you to follow best practices. So if you don't want to follow that practice and you just want to scan and add it to an invoice, like I'm going to train you to do under invoicing, when you see it on the list, you can swipe left and you can delete that order. All right. So the second way that you can get inventory in is you can go to the inventory department and you can use your device's camera to scan the individual barcodes. And they scan very well. I'm going to show you that here in just a moment so that you can see that. Now here's Andrea's best tips, AQ's best tips for scanning inventory. First things first, you want to do this in good lighting. You want to make sure it's in a well-lit, good lighting area. Natural light is phenomenal. You want to straighten that package as much as you can. Sometimes these packages, like this bracelet, is a little bit harder to get it straightened. So if you need to, you can take it out and straighten it up that way and get it to scan. Now, my last tip is to use a sheet of white paper. My desk happens to be white, so I don't have a piece of white paper sitting underneath it, but use a white sheet of paper. It helps to focus your camera as well. All right, so let's go ahead. Before I talk about the third methodology to get inventory in, let's go ahead and go to the app and talk through some of those features we just talked about. So here is the app, and remember we were looking at the zoomed in images. So if you want to scan in inventory, you're going to click right here on the barcode in the top right-hand corner. You click on the barcode icon, and that brings up your device's camera. So now we're going to go ahead and scan in the ring that I'm wearing. Just scan it in that way, and you tell the app how many you have. We have 5 of those. Now I am not going to give it an item number because remember I still got to follow my process, pre-claim, live, recap, and then it's ready to go on Premiere. So we don't give it an item number until it's ready to go into my organization system. And if I had more pieces to bring in, I click add and scan. That brings back up my camera for me to scan in more. Also, if you do have a challenge sometimes with the barcode scanning, you're trying all the things, the light, the white sheet of paper, you can click on the icon here, the keyboard icon, and you can manually key in that Paparazzi SKU to put that barcode in. Now, one of the other things that we were talking about to get inventory in is your receiving. So to do receiving, you are going to go into your hamburger button here, and you're going to click on that, and then you go to receiving. And this is where you're going to find all of those orders that you place with Paparazzi through your daily release. And when you physically get that box in, you're going to find the one that you want to receive. And you're going to go in and you're going to make sure everything is good with the order that you need to receive. Now, if you're following AQ's advice on pre-claim, live, recap, then all of your visibility icons are going to be off and nothing really needs to be featured because you're not going to have it visible. So this means that when I receive it in my inventory, it is in my inventory, but I don't want it to be visible in my online store. So you would leave those all turned off, and you can check them as long as you receive them. If you didn't receive Global Glamour, you would leave that unchecked. But if you received everything and it's good to go, you can check all the boxes, and then that will put it into your inventory. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my slides, and we are going to talk about one of the last ways that you're going to get inventory into your Premiere app. The last way that you get inventory into your Premiere app is through importing your inventory. Importing your inventory is done through your back office, and you have a file format that you have to follow. It's the Paparazzi SKU, the quantity, and if you want to provide us the item number, remember that organization system I talked about earlier. You have that all set up and ready to go. You can provide that as part of that inventory. Now, sometimes the reason you would want to import your inventory is because you are using another system, like another e-commerce solution, like a Shopify. Can't say that company's name because remember, we want you using Premiere. But if you use another e-commerce solution, you do have the ability to export your inventory from them. You do have to change that formatting and bring it into your Premiere store. Now, one of my more advanced recommendations is using your historical orders. Also, remembering you start eating an elephant one bite at a time, you would follow the same thing with historical orders. Now, I have a great recommendation for this, and it's a little bit of an explanation, but I know that my explanation is also going to help you in other areas of your life as well. So let me explain that to you. So I know one of the most common things is that people run out of storage space on their devices, right? Because you take all the pictures, you're downloading the images for your pieces that you're posting on Facebook or what have you. So you run out of storage. So one of the things that I do to keep my storage in check is that in the mornings, I spend about 5 minutes and I use Google Photos. You can do the same thing in Camera Roll and the others. I go to Google Photos and I search for the date. So if today is July 1st, I'm going to put in July 1st in there with no year, and Google Photos will show me all the pictures that I took on July 1st. So that allows me to go through and I can delete, when I took a screenshot of a boarding pass or a screenshot of a map that I was trying to understand, or pictures of my kid going, 5 pictures of that, right? So I can go through and weed it down to 1 picture of him being cute, right? So if you use that same idea of looking at one day of historical orders, go back to today's orders last year in your back office, in your consultant back office. You're going to find that order and you're going to see next to it Premiere CSV, because Paparazzi was so amazing to provide the CSV export for you. And it's going to be perfectly formatted for you to tell you all of the pieces that you purchased this time last year. And all you have to do is go find those pieces. If you still have them, great. You're going to update the quantity and in that file, and then upload that into your Premiere store using this import feature. If you don't, you move on to the next day tomorrow. Remember, you start small, doing one day at a time, and that will help you get inventory into your Premiere app. So I hope you learned some amazing new things and got some great ideas for how to get inventory into your system and using Premiere more quickly. We love feedback and we thrive on feedback. So if you have a moment, please take a moment and fill out the survey and give us feedback on the training materials that you're being provided, on features that you'd like to see. Now remember, all feedback is balanced in the weight of, are you using the app? So we want to make sure you're using the app, because that's going to drive the prioritization of what new improvements come out for you. So I thank you for your time and joining me today, and join for other sessions. Go check those out in your resources. There's a lot more that was new from this year's convention.